Welcome back to the Anfield Exchange, and it's finished Plymouth 1, Liverpool 0. Now, look, I don't know what to say. I honestly don't know what to say. That, for me, on the back of what I would say is our best performance of the season against Tottenham, we have just put in the worst performance of our season. The worst performance I've seen for a long, long time. And this is going back through the Klopp era and even before that. Yeah, very, very disappointing game that was. The starting lineup, we should have had enough to beat Plymouth. Plymouth are rock bottom of the league in the Championship. They concede goals left, right, and centre, and somehow we've managed to keep a clean sheet against us. I know we've brought in a couple of centre backs recently, who, to be fair, were brilliant today. I don't think we tested them enough. Jota starting up front. He was no look. Plymouth were playing with a back three, and Jota versus three players, he had no chance. He was poor today, was Jota. A lot of our players were poor today. But yeah, against a back three of players that size, used to playing Championship football, Jota had no chance today. What we were doing, we were crying out for somebody to step up and really take the game to Plymouth. We had experienced players on there in the likes of Jota, Diaz, Chiesa, we had Harvey Elliott, some very good and very creative players. None of them stepped up, and that was the issue today. Going forward, we just looked like we ran out of ideas. For me, personally, I don't think any of them players should be starting against Everton in the week. I think Luis Diaz probably will, but I thought he was shocking today. It's these sort of games when you look into players like Diaz, who were regulars within the first team. He should have been the one that stepped up today. He should have been the one that was really driving Liverpool forward. And he wasn't. He lost the ball as much as anyone. He was poor on the ball. He didn't look his usual self, even though he was playing out on that left wing. I just thought, yeah, all round it was a shocking performance. Go back to the beginning. But like I say, the team lineup, we should have had enough to beat Plymouth. Another injury to Joe Gomez, potentially. It looked to me like it was a potential muscle injury. There was a race in the first 5 minutes down that right hand side, and Gomez just let him go. Gomez looked like he'd felt something, and decided not to try and push it anymore, and then a minute later he went down after a challenge. So yeah, I think that looks like potentially he was being cautious, but it looks like it's a reoccurrence of these muscle injuries that Gomez seems to keep picking up. I thought initially we were starting off, and let's be honest, the Gomez substitution probably threw our game plan into. We had to change our game plan early on. I thought when Gomez was on the pitch, we'd set up as a back three. We had Tsimikas, Gomez and Quansah as a back three, and we had Endo and McConnell sort of playing them hybrid roles to pack the midfield when we had the ball, and obviously do the defensive work when we didn't have the ball. The Gomez injury forced us to sort of play four at the back, and we brought on the young lad Mabaya. He played at right back, Quansah and Endo centre back, and then Tsimikas left back. So straight off the bat, we did change our formation. It's not an excuse. We still should have had enough to beat Plymouth. To be fair to Plymouth, they looked up for it. They didn't give us much space to play in. They were first to every ball, I thought, and yeah, we didn't really have much going on in the first half. I think McConnell had a shot probably about 30-35 minutes in, which the keeper parried. Other than that, nothing really to report home. Like I said, no one was taking responsibility, and it was, yeah, it was so poor. It was such a disgrace, and I'm so not used to seeing that from a Liverpool team under Arne Slots. What I will say is I think it's clear that Trent is probably not going to be back for the Everton game. Otherwise, I think we'd have probably saw Conor Bradley start. So I would imagine Bradley's going to start that Everton game, and Trent will probably come back for maybe the Wolves game. We'll have to wait and see on that. Plymouth fans in the first half singing "Where's Your Famous Atmosphere," despite being at home. I thought that was It was hilarious. I don't I don't know what they were thinking, but ultimately it's irrelevant. I made notes during these games, and that was one of my notes. It's sort of irrelevant now. Plymouth have gone on and won the game, and deserved to do that as well. They were the better team, I would say. They looked the more up for it, and yeah, Liverpool just were not at the races today. Second half, Harvey Elliott, another poor performance from him today. Gave away the penalty for the first. Stupid decision to jump into the tackle with his arms in the air. Don't know what that was about. And yeah, obviously Plymouth put the penalty away. A good finish, sent Kelleher on way. Nunes came on for Mabaya, the right back who came on in the first half. Again, didn't really get much to go at, did Nunes. McConnell dropped into right back. Look, Plymouth were a more dangerous team. They hit the post shortly after Nunes came on. And in the second half, I mean, look, there was not anything to report. Liverpool, what was frustrating for me is we didn't look like we wanted to go and get the equaliser. It looked to me like a performance of a team that were happy to go out of that competition, except for the last 9 minutes. It looked to me like a team who thought, yeah, we can get a goal in the last 9 minutes, and they started to push in the last nine minutes of injury time. Not good enough. We should have been doing that all game. What we should have done, and what I would imagine Slots lineup of starting Jota. I don't think Slot wanted to play Jota for as long as he did today. I think what he probably wanted to do, knowing Jota was one of the deadlier finishers, was put the game to bed early. Take the guys off that you needed to take off, your Jotas, your Luis Diaz's, and because of the way the game panned out, never got a chance to do that. And we've only got ourselves to blame. And like I say, I don't think any of them players on that pitch today should be starting against Everton. I thought it was a disgraceful performance. I will let one slide like that. And there are silver linings to being out of the FA Cup. It's disappointing, but it allows us to focus our attention on the Premier League and in the Champions League. Arsenal are also out of the cup, so maybe it could be a blessing in disguise. But yeah, it's always disappointing to lose, and it's so disappointing to lose in that fashion. We'll have to wait and see if it is a benefit to us long term. But yeah, I'm so frustrated. I'm going to go through the players sort of briefly. Kelleher didn't really have anything to do. Quansah I thought did okay in patches, but he looked clumsy again. There were a few heavy touches. The boys just didn't look up for it. Tsimikas didn't really do anything wrong. Some good set pieces. Certainly better than the set pieces that we took against Tottenham in midweek. Endo thought did okay. There really was no standout performances. Trainione did all right. McConnell, I thought McConnell was not as good as what I've seen him recently in previous games. Maybe that's a lot of talk going to his head potentially of the praise he's been getting for his recent performances. But I thought he was off it as well today. Harvey Elliott, I thought, for me personally, Harvey Elliott was probably, alongside Diaz, probably the worst player on the pitch today. I thought Harvey Elliott was awful. Surprised he didn't get taken off, but look, performances like that, you're not going to get in the first team, and it's the way he's given a penalty away as well. That's exactly the reason why Arne Slots cannot trust you in that team. You wouldn't have seen any of Liverpool's first team players going up for that challenge with their hands in the air. Ridiculous. I think it'll be a while before we see him in the first team, if at all. I think Arne Slots probably seen enough of him now. I think he's probably going to be a fringe player for a long time. I'll be amazed if we ever see him as a regular starter for Liverpool. I'd like him to prove me wrong on that. I like Elliott, but I just don't think he's good enough. Basically. With a midfield we've got, not for me. I wouldn't be, I know there were rumours of us selling him and he came out and said he's not leaving. I wouldn't be opposed to him leaving. I know I know a lot of Liverpool fans absolutely love Harvey Elliott. I'm not there. I like him probably because he plays for Liverpool. But I think if he was to leave, yeah, fine. I'm all right with that. Chiesa, I thought was poor today. Again, another one that could have helped us push on and used his experience to help the younger lads through it. Didn't take responsibility again. Neither did Jota. I thought Jota had the impossible task, like I said earlier, of trying to play against these 6 foot centre halves. The Championship seems to develop every season. Jota had no chance. He were up against 3 of them, and yeah, Diaz again, shocking performance. Arne Slot, look, we all know that Arne Slot. We all knew he was going to rotate this team, but it was still very much our second string team that was put out, and we very much should have won that game. So disappointing from everyone. I can't put too much blame on Slot, other than I think the Jota situation, maybe he'd not done his research on the recent signings of Plymouth and sort of seen what they were like. I will trust that he has done that research and he chose to go with Jota purely from a factor of getting minutes into him so he can have an effect in the Premier League next season. I thought Nunes would have been more suited to that game today. I thought Nunes probably would have started that game as well. It would have been nice to see Rio Ngamoa get some minutes on there as well. I would have personally took from 70 minutes, 75 minutes, I'd have took Diaz off. I'd have put Ngamoa on. He couldn't have done any worse than Diaz. And obviously when we watched him against Accrington Stanley, he was exciting. He got a crowd on their feet. He was, he's a promising talent, and it would have been nice to see him get on there and see if he could have had one of those moments that unlocks the Plymouth defence. But yeah, all in all, shocking performance. Too many experienced players there weren't at it today. And to be honest, the experienced players have left the young players. They've stitched them right up. I thought the young players struggled today, and that was because I thought the experienced players were just not at it. And it were never going to be one of the young players that carried us through, despite James McConnell trying to be that sort of influence. He had a couple of chances, but just couldn't finish at the end. And like I said, we needed one of those experienced heads on the end of one of those chances, and I'm sure we'd have got a better result. But onwards and upwards. Premier League next, Everton next. Keep an eye out for my next video. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'll see you on the next one.